Hey guys, welcome to the Out Loud podcast. I'm Zamambo and I will be your host. And this is episode 1. And it's titled Why Now? And it's titled Why Now because that's been the lingering question in my mind, you know. Um I've been thinking about this podcast for a very long time. For a very hot minute. I literally had all the ideas. I had all the notes. I had planned everything down. I had planned each and every episode, my hooks, my intro, my outros. And I literally knew that this could, it could become something. But then with also me knowing that it could become something, right? I also had fear. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm human. Sometimes my emotions do get the best of me. My thoughts do get the best of me. And that's where the fear comes in. I had fear. And with that fear, I keep telling myself, no, not the right time. No, not yet. What if people judge me? What if I'm not people? Like, what if I'm not for the people? What if I'm not your typical podcaster, right? And I mean, come on, as the youth, as young people, the one thing that we do to console ourselves or to run away from something that we don't want to do is we keep on or we continuously make excuses for ourselves. And because we make those excuses, we find comfort, um, in those excuses. And then again, I thought to myself, but life keeps on moving. Life doesn't wait for anyone. The sun will set and it'll rise again at 6 p.m. and at 6 a.m. The price of bread stays the same. So, what exactly am I waiting for? What exactly am I waiting for? And that's where that question comes in. So, why now? I'm actually going to read a scripture for us from the book of Ecclesiastes, right? And that will be our main scripture for this episode, right? So it says in Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4, it says, if you wait for perfect conditions, you never get anything done. And I wrote there that God doesn't call the ready. He makes ready the called. And I don't know, that really got to me. That really got to me because before giving my life to Christ, I was such a planner. I always wanted to plan everything, and I always wanted to time everything. But then after giving my life to Christ, I realized there's no such thing. I realized, Guti, there's no such thing as being perfect, or there's no such thing as my perfect timing. There's only such thing as God's perfect timing because we only work on God's timing. So, yeah, man, I even wrote here that if we keep on observing circumstances instead of trusting God, we shall be guilty of disobedience. And I want us to highlight disobedience there because if I'm not trusting God, that's me being disobedient, right? If I'm not trusting that God will lead and direct me while shooting this episode, if I don't trust and believe that God will equip me with the right scriptures or with the right tools to shoot this, then what exactly is it that I'm doing? So I guess that's why, I guess I'm essentially answering the question. But yeah, this podcast is for real conversations, for honest conversations. We're both going to be learning. Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be youthful because obviously it's from the youth, by the youth, for the youth, you know? So, yeah, welcome to Out Loud, where we're going to talk about things out loud, where we're not going to, um, pretend, you know? I myself don't know a lot of things. So, yes. So we're gonna have two main talking points, right? in this episode. And the first one actually being my favorite because it's the one that I got the most conviction on, right? Which is waiting doesn't make you ready, which is a tough one for me because before I gave my life to Christ, like I had mentioned, I was always little miss perfect. I always wanted things perfect and I was such a planner. I literally I planned my whole life, literally. That doesn't make sense, but it makes sense, right? But the crazy thing is that's literally the story behind this podcast, you know. Um, I remember God dropping it in my heart in the beginning of the year around March, and I remember telling my friends and telling my youth leaders, right? And I remember being so hyped up for this podcast. I remember the feeling, right? But then even then, I felt like I was not equipped enough. I felt like I was not ready. I felt like, I just didn't feel, I didn't feel okay. Then I delayed the whole process, right? But in me delaying it, I'm still planning, right? No problem. Then the month of August, September comes, and then I'm like, you know what? No, I actually wanna start this thing, I actually wanna build it. Ah, I start my description, I start my pic, I literally everything, like, the behind the scenes of the channel, But even then, I remember telling myself, no, I don't feel equipped. I don't feel ready. No, I'm not perfect. No, something is missing. And then I'm sitting here today and that I think that's why I'm laughing because I'm sitting here now and I'm still not ready and I still don't feel ready and I still feel like I'm not making sense while speaking. But I then picked it up and I realized that see that's one of our biggest problems as the youth. We always tell ourselves that we'll start when we're confident or when we're healed or when we're perfect or when the time is right. But the truth of the matter is confidence only comes after you start, not before. And I'm laughing because that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. You know, not to say that I'm 110% confidence, but I have some sort of confidence because I know that God is with me while shooting this episode. I know that I'm speaking like this because of Him, you know. So what I want to tell you guys is that waiting doesn't make you ready. If anything, you're just delaying. If anything, you're just slowing down the process and making it harder for yourself, you know. And that's also another thing that I really picked up about us is that the more we wait and the more we delay is the more we don't get things done. And I think that's where a lot of us have this habit or tendency of not getting things done. And then we ask ourselves, but how didn't I get this done? Or what did I do wrong? You were waiting to be ready. That's what you did wrong. And I'm realizing that this thing of even waiting doesn't make you ready. It's all about trusting God and it's all about believing in God, believing that God will make you ready when you're doing that particular thing or specific thing that you're waiting to be ready for, you know? So, yeah. And then, our second and our last, main talking point is that now is the only real time we have. Not next year, not in the year of 2026, not tomorrow, not one day, but now. The thing is with us, especially as young people, we live like we are promised tomorrow, you know? And with us living like we are promised tomorrow, that is exactly where our habit of delaying things come from. You know, I'm realizing that we actually don't have time. We actually don't have time to get things done. So why not just do it? Live like you're not promised tomorrow. Do that thing like you're not promised tomorrow. Because again, as well, you don't know what tomorrow has in store for us. You don't know what tomorrow holds for us. We don't know what God's plan is for us tomorrow or next year or in a week's time. So don't delay that thing and just do it, And so if you're listening to this and you've been waiting to start something, whether it's a dream, whether it's a conversation, whether you're waiting for a change, let this be your reminder, you're not late, you're not behind. And remember, you're human, you know. Even me, as Zama sitting here, I don't have everything figured out. I am still learning, I'm still growing, I'm even still healing, but I'm choosing to speak anyway, I'm choosing to trust God, you know. So, yeah. And I think for me, if this podcast just reaches one person who needed to hear this, then I feel like it's worth it. I feel like I've done my job. If it just reaches one person, then I've done my job, you know? So yeah, that's why now. That's why now. And I really hope that everything that I've said has answered the question, why now? You know? So yeah. So if you're really rocking with this, thank you for being here. Genuinely. This is just the beginning. So I ask that you please follow the podcast, share it with someone who needs to watch or someone who needs to hear it, and come back for episode 2, we're having conversations out loud now. So yeah, until next time, remember, don't wait to be ready. Trust God, you know, um, God equips those who are called and not those who are ready. He makes those who are called ready. Remember that. So yeah, until next time, bye guys.